गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गाना शॉट. गाना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है. Today I'm doing an unusually early morning show because for the next 2 days I'll be off air. Some work to do. Right. Today we're going to talk of something pretty interesting to everyone, and that is about China's dilemma to assist Pakistan against India. There's war hysteria all around, war clouds on the horizon. A lot of people are thinking, okay, fine, we'll do what we have to do with Pakistan. But how do we handle China? Right. Let me ask the flip question. What does China do? That's the question which one needs to answer. Everyone says, look, there's going to be likely to be a two-front war and China will assist Pakistan and, we are up a gum tree. And a lot of Chinese have said, oh, there's no dilemma with us. We will just support China. I mean, we will support Pakistan. They are our iron brothers and this and that. Well, that might be right. They will support. I have no doubt that China will not give up on Pakistan. Pakistan will continue to get assistance from China, but there are limits, and there are serious limits on this whole story. And that is what I'm going to try and talk to all of you today. Make you understand where China is. So we'll do it in three parts. The first, I will say, what is the current state of affairs as far as China is concerned on the India-Pak, problem which is going on. Second, I will examine what is China's status at this point of time. Remember, China is going through a trade war. It's a war of its own. It is not surviving in thin air. It has got its own problems. And then let's analyze the dilemma and the limits to which China can do what it wants to do. And you'll find things are surprising. Right? So we'll go with the flow and we'll take it from there. Okay. First, what happened? Immediately after the Pahalgam attack, the Chinese ambassador to India gave out this. He said he's shocked by the Pahalgam attack and this and that and all deep condolences and all that nonsense. But there was silence from Beijing. This I told you yesterday also. And not only silence from Beijing, their Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar and Wang Yi spoke to each other for about 50 minutes. And then China came up with this great proposal, hold an impartial meeting, and they'll conduct it. Okay, and that was what they concluded. But that is one-sided. You think India will bother about it? Not at all. So that was the position. And then China went and supported Pakistan in the Security Council to water down that statement. They took LET out of the equation in this Pahalgam attack. Fine, we know that. Okay, what next? The story starts here. Right? The story starts here. And this is today morning's South China Morning Post. He says China is ready to help ease India-Pakistan tensions, but has a fine line to walk. It gives you an insight as to how China is thinking about this whole affair. Actually, yesterday when I said, let me do this, I didn't have a clue of this article. And it came, of course, I wouldn't have had a clue because it came out somewhere in the midnight. So what does this article say? That's the interesting thing. They've quoted two of their researchers, I would say their opinion makers, and they're experts on India, Lim and Wang. And I've done and dissected his articles earlier. He's the Deputy Director of Center of South Asian Studies at Fudan University in Shanghai. What does he say? He says China's role is likely to be limited. He's very clear. Okay. New Delhi was unlikely to buy Chinese efforts to explain Islamabad's position. I'm putting his exact words because I'm not interpreting it. Okay. Now, then he goes on to say India had long viewed itself as a nation on par with China. Now, he says accepting mediation would imply that India is in a lower status than China, which it would not accept. So now they've started thinking. See, the parity is no more between India and Pakistan. The parity is, or the question of parity is between India and China. Somewhere in this article, he says, India's comprehensive national power, as per Chinese calculations, is something more than 10 times that of Pakistan, and Pakistan is out of the equation. They know that. Things are changing. Then he says, this is the last sentence in this. Very, 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 very important. I mean, everyone should understand this. He says, instead of regarding Islamabad as a counterbalance to New Delhi, it's no more a counterbalance. China's approach is now to focus on avoiding Pakistan being completely overwhelmed. China is now trying to hold Pakistan from defeat. If you put it in my words, that's it. Pakistan shouldn't get swept away. That's the danger at which Pakistan is, and that's the feeling in the academic circles and the strategic circles of China. Please understand this. And I'm not putting my own words. I've just picked up words from this article, and you can go to the South China Morning Post and pick this article. So I'm not too bothered about that. Then Liu Zhongyi, he's a little more aggressive. He's always been. If you analyze his articles and read him, if you have, he's the director of the Center for South Asia Studies at Shanghai Institute of International Studies. And they analyze India very deeply. Shanghai Institutes, CICR, and all that. Okay. He says he expects China to promote talks for peace. That means China will step up and promote talks of peace and ease the tensions. He'll make that's what he says. There'll be the peacemaker role. But somewhere in the article it says that Washington won't agree with it, which is a fact. Delhi also won't agree with it. Why should I agree China to come in between? Then he goes on to profess China would like its neighborhood, including South Asia, to remain peaceful and stable. China would like, but what did China do with India? And what happened after 4 years? They stood and they had to go back. Then he goes on pompously to say, we will not allow wars or chaos in our neighboring regions, nor will we tolerate any threats or damage to China's overseas interests, particularly Chinese projects and citizens in Pakistan. He's worried. Whether they allow wars or chaos is beyond them, because they are themselves in a chaos. I'll come to it a little later. They're in big chaos. Okay. But they're worried about CPEC. Vulnerability. That is what today, my view, which I've always explained, which is coming true. China is overstretched without a backstop. Then he goes on to say terrorist groups in Pakistan, such as BLA and Pakistan Taliban, are allegedly supported by India, though there is no conclusive proof. And then terrorists were targeting CPEC and all that, and it is unacceptable to them. So, though he talks big, the vulnerability comes out. They know that if today, so far we have not supported BLA and BLF. Believe you me, I'm in touch with some of the Baluch people. They said, don't worry, BLA will handle itself. Not BLA, I have not spoken to BLA people, but overseas committees, Baluchistan committees in USA and all. We don't want help. I don't know where they're getting money and all, but we don't want help. We'll just support us, we'll sort out Pakistan. That's their view. Now, as it is, without help, this is the status. If we start helping them, kya hoga? And in the BRICS foreign ministers meet, which was held in Brazil, right? BRICS, no talk of the Pahalgam. But equally, India sent a message, right? By our external affairs minister not being there. And hence, there's a problem for BRICS. He was a no show there. All the foreign ministers met except India. As a result, the end statement of BRICS went for a toss. And then today morning, I saw this in Guancha, just about half an hour back. What does it say? Modi confirmed his absence, and Russian media said that the Indian defense minister will attend the Russian Victory Day celebrations. We have given a very clear message. Mr. Xi Jinping is attending, will not, Mr. Modi will not go. And there's a Chinese contingent which is, marching on Moscow for the victory parade. So we don't make a show. Then Mr. Rajnath Singh will go and come and all that. And that should put caution not only to China, but also to Moscow. That look, there are limits. Beyond limits, real politics comes. I'm sure Mr. Putin will know and he'll do what he has to do. But that's between India and Russia, not China. But China, this gets reported in China. That's the point in headlines in Guancha. And then the whole lot of things in global times, they're all ineffectual. This is the current state. Yesterday evening also I spoke of this. But here it is. How do you assess China? Because irrespective of what I talk, everything, we have to be clear. What is China's status? Can it interfere? Can it do anything? Let's be realistic. So China is in a trade war fix. Believe you me, it's in a trade war fix. Why? Look at what Trump has said. And it makes a lot of sense. If you understand this, you understood where Trump is in trade war are going and where China is going. He says US kids may get $2 instead of 30. China will suffer more in trade war. Very, very, very prescient statement. China might make 30, 300, 400, 3,000, 3 million, $3 billion. They need a market to sell. I mean, when I say dolls, it could be fridge, it could be anything, it could be gamlas, it could be anything. Because almost 80 to 90% of a American household is full of Chinese items. Those chaps can do without them. Most of the time, it's luxury. If they don't, they'll save some money. Their GDP will go down. It doesn't matter them. But not for Chinese. For Chinese who are very, very, very prickly about the GDP going down, it's death knell for the Communist Party. And goods not being sold is death knell for their manufacturing and jobs. And that's coming out. Well, when the trade war started last month, earlier this month, last month, sorry, I'm still in April, right? Xi Jinping did a great thing and he went for neighborhood diplomacy to at least secure the neighborhood. He went to Malaysia, Vietnam, and Singapore and Cambodia. And this comes out in Quishi. Let me tell you, for those of you who don't know, Quishi is the holiest of holiest grails of the Communist Party of China. There, which the Chinese Communist Party wants to really convey meaning, comes out. Xi Jinping's messages comes out through Quishi. You read the Quishi, you understand what's going on in China. So in Quishi, he comes out. He says, neighborhood diplomacy takes center stage as Xi begins visit to Southeast Asia. That is those three countries. Then they come out with this. China wants countries not to team up with US against it on trade. So they've given a warning and he's gone on these three countries. The idea was these three countries would be the landmark thing, or rather set the tone for the rest of Asia and rest of the world. And then warning, you team up with USA, you had it. So what's happened? You have to understand this. And this is very critical to understand. They first went to Vietnam. lot of MOUs, lot of sweet talk, red carpet, yeah, wo. Okay. What did Vietnam do? They've stopped illegal transshipment. And a 50, you have to understand it in a slightly different manner. Chinese exports, direct exports to US, were just about 3 or 4% of its GDP. But for Vietnam, exports to USA is 50% of its GDP. 50%. So if Vietnam loses that, it is sunk. Finished. What did Vietnam do? They've done a deal with USA and they've dug China. They said, no, we'll not allow transshipment. So that route of transshipment is virtually closed. This happened after Mr. Xi Jinping went there. Third day, flip. Then he went to Malaysia. All red carpet, ye wo. Then Malaysia comes out with this. Malaysia has gone back to USA and said, no, please. We'll buy more goods from you. And they've broken ASEAN. So actually, Trump has broken ASEAN. Every country of ASEAN is dealing directly with USA. These are facts. And incidentally, these are not reported by New York Times or Washington Post or Guardian and all. These are all South China Morning Post reports. You can confirm all this with others. They will give more mirch masala, but this is their fundamental. I mean, the Chinese fundamental. So Malaysia flipped within minutes. There's a fundamental thing people don't understand. China trades with ASEAN and its neighbors. It's huge, but they'll depend on security with USA. So between security and trade, all people are very clear now. I need my security. Only then I can trade. They don't trust China. So that's where the flip is happening. Don't go by things, like the same thing. We won't like to trade with China. For our security reasons, basically. Others also. He went to Cambodia. Cambodia is supposed to be a satellite of China. Cambodia built, or rather China built, the Siem Reap naval base, Cameron Bay. Okay, the Chinese base. What happens? Cambodia has allowed Japanese warships to enter. Look at this, and China is up in flames. They've got a red face. Cambodia is also, which is supposed to be a minion of China, has now flipped, or in the process of flipping, reaching for alternates. Singapore. Singapore was one of the main funnels through which Chinese markets, you went to the east. All financial transactions. When people started deserting Hong Kong, Singapore became the conduit. Now, what does Lee Hsien Loong's wife say? Who's Lee Hsien Loong? He was the Prime Minister of Singapore. And this lady is a very tough lady and she's got influence. You heard of Temasek? She is on the board of Temasek and she owns half of Temasek. She last week came out openly and said Z is a gang boss like a mafia. Openly. This is from Business Times. You type this heading out, you will get 10 articles on this. South Korea. South Korea has taken umbrage. There are issues in the Yellow Sea between South Korea and China, which I will not touch. There is some dispute with this coming up. We'll see how it progresses. But what China did to evade tariffs, they put "Made in Korea" labels and started sending items to USA. And Korea has believed about it. That's the best part. Look at this video.
부산에 있는 한 창고에 세관 직원들이 들어갑니다. 침대 매트리스가 가득 쌓여 있는데 모두 중국산.
The talk is in Korean, so it's okay. You see the
미국이 중국산 매트리스에 부과해온 반덤핑 관세를 회피하려고 중국인이 설립한 업체가 국내에 반입한 뒤 국산으로 위장해 미국에 수출하다가 적발된 겁니다. 이렇게 수출된 매트리스만 120만 개, 우리 돈 740억 원 규모입니다. 국내에 반입한 후 원산지 증명서를 비롯한 서류도 위조해 한국 제품이라고 속인 것으로 드러났습니다. 관세를 피하기 위해 중국인이 국내 설립한 법인을 통해 2차 전지 원료를 미국으로 수출하려던 경우도 적발됐습니다. 이렇게 중국산을 국산으로 둔갑시켜 미국에 우회 수출하다 적발된 금액은 올해 3월까지 285억 원으로 이미 지난해 연간 적발액을 넘어섰습니다. 반대로 한국인이 대중 수출이 금지된 미국산 첨단 반도체 51억 원어치를 국내로 들여와
so it's very clear what they're up to. Okay, and this fake thing. See this story. Now they're using this route. So now people are clear. Even this route is closed, and Korea is pissed about it. So Korea, Singapore, जापान के साथ तो प्रॉब्लम है ही, ओके, ताइवान के साथ प्रॉब्लम है, फिलीपींस के साथ प्रॉब्लम है. These were nations which were not with China, but those nations which were firmly with China, they thought. That's why Xi Jinping went there to Malaysia, Vietnam, and Cambodia. They have also flipped. So what has happened? Neighborhood is now against China because their pockets are being hit. They've all gone to USA to do their deals. Everyone has his interest, national interest is supreme. Chinese interest is last for them. Okay, then China did that grand thing. They had a huge order with Boeing because their airlines were to expand, all that. They cancelled it in the trade war. They said, no, we don't want. We'll punish you by not taking Boeings. Then what happened? Malaysia said, give us the Boeings. In any case, Boeing has orders for the next 10 years. They're not bothered. So Malaysia said, okay, wait. Malaysia said, so what has Malaysia done? They've not only broken ranks with ASEAN, they've done a deal with US and they're buying Boeings also. And where does that next thing go? The next thing goes that Chinese airlines are stuck now. This is Nikkei Asia, which says they're all gone into slump. Just this 1 month of Trump tariffs have taken all airlines of China into deep red. One more. This airline twist is one more. China makes their C219 jets, or not jets, passenger jets. Okay, those they're trying to sell, all that. But where do the engines come from? Boeing. What will Boeing do? Tenga. So they've done a huge self goal. Huge self goal. Okay. In fact, I saw an article today which said that Europe has said, no, we'll not accept this 219 in our airports. So 219 jets of China can't go to Europe. So China is buying it big time. People don't understand it. Okay, this fellow Zhu Feiong, who is the Chinese ambassador to India, he says, as per latest IMF projections, India will be the third largest economy within the next 2-3 years. If this is going to be the third largest economy in 2-3 years, China wants to trade with us. If China doesn't trade with us, it's stuck, which I've spoken earlier. What have we done? We put new tariffs on steel for the next 200 days on some whatever it is. So that dumping of steel doesn't happen here. And we're doing whatever it takes. Now, after this Pakistan thing, I don't think we'll turn to China in a hurry. That's China's worry. Okay, let's be very clear. Real politics. Everyone thinks we can't do anything. And that's what I've been trying to tell all of you. This war is not going to be fought in the battlefield. This war is going to be fought multidimensionally. And that's where we have to win. And we will win. I'm making this statement again. India-Pakistan war is not being fought on the battlefield. It is being fought in multidimensional spheres: economic, finance, trade, of course, traditional thing, information, health, all that. And this war is not a direct war between India and Pakistan. There is China involved. This war will lead lead to India's supremacy. We'll break free if we have the patience to handle it intelligently and not go like idiots and do some brazen stupid action with which after which Pakistan can respond. We should put Pakistan in a place where it cannot respond. Okay, let me get back to what I was trying to tell you. Right? So we said India is also shut out. So China's you know trade war is not going great. And after all, they are making outreach to us to and what has happened? We will be the first country which will do a deal with USA. Look at it from the Chinese perspective. Which country has now is with China? Sorry, this is from CIPRI, latest. Military spending on the rise in East Asia as China upgraded its armed forces. We all say China, increased its armed forces expenditure by 7%, 10%, 20%. So are others. If they increase their arms purchases, it will not be from China. And if they increase their arms purchases in their budgets, it will be against certain things which they will not buy from China. So this is a dynamic happening. And thanks to China, it is doing a whole lot of self goals. And then Trump has hardened his stance, like I showed you earlier. He says, I'm not interested. Let China come. He was speaking, and China, the thing is this: Donald Trump is completely unpredictable. And his unpredictability is rattling China. They don't know which side to go. So if they don't know which side to go in their own national interest, you think they'll come and support Pakistan beyond a point? That's the point. You have to examine China for what it is at this point of time. And please, this is not my personal opinion. I'm only analyzing what has come out from Chinese sources. Their critical export metals have plummeted. And people are doing their alternate. They are in an involution trap. It's called Nijan in China. What is this involution trap? That they have so much items that producers independently want to sell. They're cutting prices to sell it off, and the huge competition. People are now prepared to sell at loss. And all this has come in the past 10 days. In fact, I wanted to do this program a little earlier, but what happened in Pahalgam made me accumulate all this. Now I see a connect between this and that, and when we speculate, oh, China will do this, China will do this, China will do nothing. Let me assure you this. China's solar panel makers, they went do everything. Okay. And give it to same story, give it to this country, that country, and from there export. What has US done? They put tariffs on all those fellows. All those items. Non-tariff barriers are being put in place against China. Chalo. When China has gone to all countries and said, please take our satellite services, all that. US has said, stay away. And most of us in the world depend so far on US services. People will hesitate to get into Chinese satellites linkages and communication because then there's a backdoor. People will go. Now they will quote what happened in Europe, Portugal, Spain, and south of France. There was a blackout. Now we are not clear whether it was Chinese blackout or someone else. All kinds of explanations are coming, but somewhere people are thinking, look, if I give my communication and I'm dependent on China, they'll control my systems. That's happening. Yes, there'll still be people who have no other choice but to go, but that's okay. All this I'm trying to put across because we must understand where China is today to interfere in this India Pakistan story. That's the thing. They have domestic challenges. There's no demand within China, zero. Okay. And lack of exports, millions of jobs. There's one person who has got a small channel. It's not a big channel, but the Chinese, he's American Chinese. His parents are still from China. I think they're residing in China. He comes out with some excellent reviews. It's not flashy, nothing. As per him, this trade war could lead to 180 million people without jobs. And what he told me, and it was quite convincing. He says there are 600 million people in China whose monthly pay is between 400 to 800 yuan. That's it. What is 400 to 800 yuan? 400 yuan is $24,000 rupees or 28,000 rupees. 800 is how much? 56. If even 800 is the high side. I think he said 600. 600 million Chinese out of 1.4, which is supposed to be. That's 40% of the nation survives on 30 to 40,000 rupees a month. Don't you think India is better off? Despite GDP, all that. Or the other way around, you look at it, see how hard their employment has been hit and how low the wages have fallen. You're talking about middle income trap. I think they're in a lower income trap today. And that's going to hit more. As days go by, this will come out. Yesterday's news. Their factory activity has contracted drastically. And in this article, if you go and see, their jobs are being affected. These are facts. These are not. That's why I say, when I talk, I'll show you facts. This is in Guancha, where people have lost 1 million yuan in their property transactions. This is a heading, just see. He says buying a house lost 1 million yuan in 2 years when ordinary people encounter a real estate crisis. And this crisis is ongoing. People are hit. People in China don't have money. I always say China is a rich state with poor people today. You'll find such commentaries, such analysis. And this is hardcore. This is all translated. Otherwise, this whole story is in Chinese. Increasing people's income and consumption should accelerate to become the new main engine. भैया इंजन तो शुरू ही नहीं हुआ, वाल तो फट गए तुम्हारे, तेल है ही नहीं. Okay, same. Guancha. He says experts suggest that the consumption of ID cards will be reduced by 25%. They are prepared to give 25% discount across the board to all citizens. भाई कुछ तो खरीद लो. Buy something. That is the status of China internally. How can a nation give 25% discount to the entire people? Is it feasible? What will happen to the debt of that nation? This is the kind of freaky ideas which are now being discussed in China. Panic. There's panic in China. There's Pakistan is in one kind of a panic. There's a different panic in China. And then I discussed this yesterday. This is still in Chinese. Because of this trade war and all this, people are not getting married and don't get married. 2 years, 3 years, no babies. You don't get married, you don't have a baby. As simple as that. The population decline is accelerating at pace. The rate of population decline is huge. And China has no answers. If all that was not enough, that Miahua was sacked 6 months back. Now it's confirmed he's out. Oh, he Widong is also out. Their PLA is in chaos. Where will they go? Security. They were China was flexing muscles against Taiwan. China was flexing muscles against Philippines. Now Philippines and Taiwan are getting together, and that spells problems for China. And if Philippines, Japan has got so islands north of Taiwan. Taiwan, Philippines, and Japan get together, then China has a tough time. I know many of us don't understand this story. We think that China is a big country. China has got tremendous internal problems. Who's blinked in the trade war? China. See this. It's gone under the carpet. This comes out from China again. So they've got tariffs on US imports from USA to China. High tech. Very clear. China doesn't have that kind of high tech. Now comes the dilemma. Chinese dilemma. I've given you their current status. I've told you the internal issues of China. Now I'll tell you the dilemma. Will they interfere in our story with Pakistan? And that is why I keep saying we should have a different strategy with Pakistan. Ye nahi kato maro pito is waste of time. We should break this in China-Pakistan nexus. We have an opportunity to do so if you are thinking and you're aggressive. Let me go point by point. China's economy is not doing well. There's too much consumption and there's too much manufacturing and too less consumption. We know that. And I'm very sure that their GDP will shrink, though they will project it as otherwise. But more than that, they're going to have internal problems. PLA is in chaos. Make no mistakes. They have a situation in South China Sea. I've always said that they're overextended in the South China Sea. Remember, the LAC situation is not diffused. They're still face to face. Don't think they can ramp it up. If they ramp up the LAC, then they are in a two-front situation. And China hates that. China knows it. If you read Chinese military writings, they fear they can get into a four-front situation. They have something called a chain reaction warfare. And they definitely don't want. And one of the reasons why they did this, okay with us when Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping met in Kazan last year, and to defuse the situation was because they wanted to concentrate on South China Sea. Will they come back to the LAC? So that is a live problem for them. So I don't think China will take the trouble of coming to the LAC again. Because then they're opening there. After all the trade war problem, if some reversal happens in South China Sea or that Taiwan and all that, where do they go? Have you thought of it? We need to think 360 degrees as far as China is concerned. Think it from their point of view. And also don't forget, North Korea, which is their, real problem, is North Korea for them. Core problem. If anything happens in North Korea, China is in deep trouble. North Korea is unstable. North Korea is veering towards Russia. He's already sent troops there. His communications are no more Chinese. He's saying Tenga to China. They have concerns. If you think they leave all those other concerns and come and sit in front of India to assist Pakistanis, then we are fools to think that. Then we are idiots to think that. जिसका दिमाग नहीं है, बेजा नहीं है, he'll think like that. And then the analysis, which I did put out some time back. And this is a Chinese analysis of our infrastructure. They're keeping track of our entire border infrastructure, including the Padam Darcha road, all. I mean, each phase, they know the complete plan and they're monitoring it. You know what they did? What this it's there in my gunner shot thing, which I put out. A lot of people have seen it. They feel that with the current, we think that infrastructure is not good enough. Yeah, well, that's our view. They feel with the current state of infrastructure, China has to start thinking defensive. They're no more thinking of coming into offensive. They're saying how to. They have plans for a defensive battle against India. It's in 3 lines, incidentally. The first line or the zone they say is 30 kilometers, the second is 200 kilometers, and the third is beyond. Their thinking has shifted. It's no more offensive into India. China can't handle 2 fronts. Then you think, see, after that message which we have given now in the BRICS foreign ministers meet, where Mr. Shankar has not gone and Mr. Modi has not gone to Moscow. I mean, he was not supposed to go, but now it has come out in Chinese media and very minimal participation because Xi Jinping is going there. That message has gone already, isn't it? But there's more to come this year. The SEO meet is to be held in China. What if Mr. Modi says to go to hell? What happens to China? What happens if India doesn't make a show in the BRICS meet later in Brazil? See, BRICS के बीच में ना एक vowel है I. There's only one vowel. That's the connect. So BRICS without I is no BRICS. Both these are at stake. And for those of you who don't understand, BRICS and SEO are the prime vehicles for China to get its Sinocentric world order. At least it thinks. That's the thinking there. And that's at risk. Will they put that at risk for Pakistan? That's the dilemma. They're badly being hit by tariff. And that tariff war is a war of its own. They're fighting with Trump with their backs to the wall. उसको छोड़ के पाकिस्तान के पीछे आएगा. And China needs India for its own recovery. I keep telling this. They try. You see the tweets of this ambassador Zhu Fihong, who's in Delhi. Every day there's a tweet. He's written articles in Times of India. He's written times in New Indian Express about India, China getting together to face USA. One came 2 days back. In fact, I put it out in the tweet to New Indian Express. Why you chaps taking money from this? But don't sell your, honor by getting this fellow to write op-eds. But at the same time, the dilemma is China cannot allow India to be its global alternative. The moment India becomes too strong, China is at stake and it knows it has to do something to ensure that it doesn't happen. And it cannot allow India to progress beyond a point. So they will have to backstop Pakistan. And they will have to do other things to ensure we don't go towards Pakistan beyond a point. They will. Let's be very clear. And that won't be in the war. It might be in IOR. It might be electronically, like they did this in south of France and Portugal and Spain. They might do like what they did in Ames, the indirect. I mean, we have to be alive to that. Remember, I mean, let's be very clear. We are not fighting Pakistan alone. While we are fighting Pakistan directly, we also this also a simultaneous thing going on with China. We need to be aware of this. We should at no point get overstretched. Can we handle both? We will. They feel that India can't be with USA. That's okay. That's their viewpoint. But they're not able to stop it. They want global dependency on China to continue, but that's not happening. See the dilemma. But they need Pakistan for CPC and Gwadar. If that collapses, China collapses. So they have to help Pakistan. They can't allow Pakistan to go down. And the greater risk. If China assists Pakistan and Pakistan goes down, then it's curtains. So they'll have to ensure that Pakistan doesn't go. If they assist Pakistan in trying to sort out India, which I earlier said, there's no more counterbalancing Pakistan with China. It is to ensure Pakistan doesn't just get blown away. That's their worry. That is why the trade war. You open a trade war with Pakistan, Pakistan will collapse. Because most of what Pakistan buys is through Dubai and Singapore and Malaysia. वो दो थप्पड़ उसके बाद मारो. And they themselves are not happy with Pakistan. They've got caught with Pakistan. Their money is there. It will not come out. They are realizing Pakistan is a hot potato. Historically, China has not helped Pakistan. Neither in 65, 47 to chhod do. 65 it didn't help, 71 it didn't help. Kargil it didn't help. So why will they help now? And when you are not contemplating a big war, why will they even think? China is caught. You have to be practical about what we are talking. And if there's a long drawn affair, China will not have any leeway. What leeway China has? You build dams and canals against for the Indus Water Treaty implementation. It's not going to happen today. It's going to happen over the next 10 years. Fine, let it happen. What can Pakistan do? What can China do? What can we do when that fellow builds a dam? Let him build a dam. His building a dam doesn't affect us beyond a point. उसका तो पहला ब्रिक भी नहीं है, वो तो छोड़ो. But whatever we do affects Pakistan from now, and they can do damn all about it. Then they are vulnerable in Balochistan, they are vulnerable in Afghanistan, they are vulnerable in Gilgit-Baltistan. If they push India and India goes into these areas and starts an insurgency or assists the insurgency, like what Pakistan did to us, that's on the cards. Why should we keep quiet? Why should we fight? Why should I not fight a battle of 1,000 cuts? Why shouldn't I use the Baluch? Why shouldn't I do something in Gilgit-Baltistan and screw CPEC? Gwadar is vulnerable. Already one of our teams is in Afghanistan. Give money to Taliban. Let them do what they have to do. And Chinese have been hit in Afghanistan. So you see that their vulnerability is huge. So there lies the dilemma. Will China completely side Pakistan? It will side. There's no doubt. That is happening. But can it assist beyond a point? No. So we have to play our cards smart. From my perspective, what's happened in Pahalgam is very sad. It should not have happened. I mean, my complete sympathy, 1000% sympathy to our people there who are lost. 24 lives of innocent people losing is not fun. That's happened. We'll do what we have to do. Yesterday I've said how to keep Pakistan in abeyance. But look at it out of Pakistan. That's why I said yesterday I did with Pakistan, I'm doing with China today. It's an opportunity for India. Huge opportunity. Even if you have to trade with China, now you can do it on your terms. You do it on your terms. If you increase your trade with China, it has to be your terms. One of your terms is cut off Pakistan. You can put tough terms. So these are the issues which I thought I'll put across to all of you. I might not be able to do anything for the next 2 days. So I thought I'll this thing. The next thing, I did a video on a political military assessment of Pakistan. Part 1 I put out. Part 2 will be today evening. I'll be releasing it. Old videos, but they make a lot of sense. And I got a comment from a Pakistani, which I pinned onto that video. Have a look at it. You'll understand the significance of that. You want to really understand them? See this series of 3 videos. Right? That's what I thought I'll put across to all of you. Thank you for coming and listening. I'll just take a few questions and, call it a day because I have to get going somewhere. Thanks a lot for becoming a member, Venkat Mategunta. Honored that you joined us or joined me. Amol Batra, also thanks a lot. I'd request more of you to join and I'll keep giving you whatever I can out of this membership. Right. Let me see. Yeah. Like this video, guys, please. Yeah. There's a thing. How should one develop its relationship with a big country like India? Can you please give some advice? As we all know, we cannot change our geography. We'll have to stay as neighbors. This is from Pakistan. That's why I'm interesting for him. You have to be friends. You have to be sensitive to each other's thing. You have to stop this nonsense of Kashmir, ye, wo. You can't. Okay? And India is a country which is trusted globally. Pakistan has to rethink. Is Pakistan trusted by anyone? That's it. Yeah, like this video. My request. Thanks a lot. Yeah, just tell the highest dam over at Brahmaputra River there. China is in a superior position if you can come out. It's not in a superior position, Gurkripal. I've done a full video 2 years back on this dam. It's called Dams on the Brahmaputra. Have a look. That's why I said we don't know what we fall to Chinese influence operations and public opinion operations. We have no problems with the dam. There are certain issues, they're not in a superior position. They're in a position which we can counter. There is time, there's no hurry. Whereas Pakistan can't counter our Indus Water Treaty abeyance. Yeah, very intelligent. Any form of prolonged kinetic action will retard our growth. Need to do other things. China has the hammer and USA is using the hammer to weaken Russia, Iran, and now their target is India. The Belt and Road is a Trojan horse. Whoever takes it gets hammered by the other. Yeah, I agree with you. Let me see. Can you elaborate on what should be India's strategy towards China in view of the development vis-a-vis China? And I've told you, I've explained to you what we should do. This whole story was about that. Irrespective of Bharat engaging with Pakistan or not, if China were to start hostilities with Taiwan, what do you think will be our response vis-a-vis POJK, Shaksgam Valley, exercise and all? It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity which we should not let go, especially Sakshikam Valley and things like that, and POJK. We should uh, use it, and that's why cover tops are the you know flavor of the season. But let me tell you, with what's happening now in you know Pakistan, China won't go towards Taiwan either. Yeah, let me take some. Yeah, great analysis. Thanks a lot. I would request if you feel it's great, send it to all your friends. Okay, this is from somewhere. You Indians will never be able to compete with China. China is 200 years ahead. China thrives in business, whereas I think you're a fool, BP. You don't, you see, you are living in emotions. See what your own people are writing. I'm arguing with logic of China, Chinese literature. And that's what I wanted to tell everyone. Don't fall for this kind of nonsense which is coming along. Assuming we get into a fight, don't assume. It will not be prolonged. The fist fight will not be prolonged. Don't worry. The escalation dynamics is something you have to understand, Shritik, and that I'll speak day after tomorrow. So you are looking at escalation. I'm not looking at escalation. I'm looking at containment. Or thinking is in the opposite directions. Thanks a lot, Shambhu sir. Is it possible there was a game theory done on this by deep state before to put India at opposite ends of China? We don't have to bother Ashish. That's what I'm saying. We have to start thinking afresh. That's what I want all of you to tell, understand. India is now too strong. India cannot be contained by China anymore. That fellow himself is saying, till now they were using Pakistan to counterbalance India. Now they know that they're gone. China himself is fighting with the, back to the wall. That is why what I talk of a changing global order. Understand India's position. We have to do certain things. Yes, we have some problems. Yes, but I think we have to do much more. Thanks a lot for the super sticker, Prodigy. Thanks a lot. This is nice. Yeah, once gains independence, gentle way of saying splitting, the Bangladesh problem will sort. I agree with you completely. Right. Will CPC be affected if India recaptures POK as it is struck? Completely. That is one of China's worry. I forget about recapture and all that. Whatever you do against Pakistan, and if Pakistan starts losing, CPC is at risk. Will China be able to give a backstop to Pakistan? Question mark. Okay. So I think I've done with most of the questions. Thanks a lot for attending. Thanks a lot for, I hope you had your breakfast or cup of tea wherever you are. Enjoy the day and all the best. I'll get back to you third. But till then, I'm going to put the part two and part three of my politico military assessment of Pak armed forces. While I'm talking this, I'm also assessing the Pakistan armed forces. That's as an army professional. And this what I'm doing otherwise is geopolitics, international relations, and the current situation. So I'm progressing all my analysis in two tracks. Understand that? Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.